Alrighty, so in this video tutorial for Scratch Desktop, we are going to be looking at variables. So what are they? Well, basically variables are used to store information that can be used by our program. Okay, so when we say that we're going to use this information, what we actually mean there is we might have it so that our variable can be changed or can be accessed and displayed at a later date. Okay, so for our car racing game that we're going to be setting up, we are going to be looking at having a variable for our timer so that we can see how long it takes to get around the course. Now, to make a variable in Scratch Desktop, super easy. What we need to do is come into our code blocks here, and we're going to come down to the second last one at the bottom there in terms of the default options and select variables. Now, from here, what we're going to do is come up to the very top, and we're going to click on Make a Variable, and it's going to bring up this little dialog box that gives us a couple of options. Now, in this one, we are just going to type in the word time, okay, because it's going to be our timer, and we're going to display that on screen so that the player is able to see how long it takes them to get around and when they get to the finish. Now, we do have a couple of different options that we can select here. We can either change it to for all sprites or for this sprite only. Now, this is where it becomes a little bit challenging for us when we're making our variables. The for all sprites one means that it's what we call a global variable, and this can be accessed by anything that's on our game. Okay, so if we have 100 different cars on screen, all of them would be able to access this time variable. Whereas if we create the one that says for this sprite only, what we're doing is we're creating a thing called a local variable, and that means that it's only available to be changed, modified, or displayed by the thing that it's on. In this case, it would be our race car. So just for this very basic program that we're going to be building, we're going to create this one so that it is for all sprites. And when I click the OK button, you'll see that over here I now have a little box that I can drag in, so a little variable that I can drag in that says time, but also on screen I now have time and it says 0 because it's reflecting what that value is for us. Now in this menu it gives us a couple of different options as well now that we have a variable set up. So we can have a block here that allows us to set our variable to a certain figure. We can change our variable by a certain amount, so it could either go up or down, or we can show it on the screen or hide it. So what these two buttons here are talking about, or boxes here are talking about, is coming up and setting this little dialog box at the top of our screen, whether or not we can see it when the player presses the green flag. So that's it for variables. Super easy thing for us to be able to create, and it allows us to do so much. So when you jump into the next video, you're going to see that I'm going to quickly rush through building another variable, and then that's going to allow us to interact with our program a little bit differently.